Alright, we can get a little negative here at 7 Wrestling. We've had our fair share of digs at Vince McMahon, Tony Khan, John Cena, CM Punk, the list goes on and on. But let's not forget the times that wrestling can be the best thing on TV. In particular, let's take a look at the occasions where something looked awful on paper and was ultimately magic in the ring. I'm Senior Siete for 7 Wrestling, and let's take a look at 7 times something awful ended up being awesome. Now, before we get into this, if you enjoy this content, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and back elbow that notification bell. Number 1. The New Day versus the Usos. Rap battle. Alright, what do we have here? The New Day, a tag team that doesn't rap, will be participating in a rap battle with the Usos, a tag team who also doesn't rap. That sounds terrible. In the early 2000s, rap battles became a thing on WWE TV thanks to the doctor of thugonomics, John Cena. On occasion, Cena would square off in rap battles against such notable MCs as, Big Show, or Rikishi, or Kurt Angle, and the Cena portion of the events were usually pretty decent. But the rest was, something? So, when the New Day and the Usos were extending the longest feud ever with a rap battle, we weren't terribly excited, and boy were we wrong. Hosted by hip-hop star Wale, both sides completely killed it, with the New Day accusing the Usos of being Roman Reigns' bag boys a few years before they actually kind of became Roman Reigns' bag boys, Kofi having a stellar line saying that Jim hadn't seen the inside of a gym, and Xavier letting Jimmy know that he wasn't relevant until Naomi got him a gig on Total Divas. Hilarious stuff. Meanwhile, the Usos battled back, talking about Big E's bra size, the fact that Kofi kind of looks like Whoopi Goldberg, and the shot of the night, potentially the biggest shot of all time, poking fun at the adult video that Xavier Woods had participated in. At the end of the segment, the Usos were disqualified for starting a fight, but the real winners, as they say, were the fans. Number 2, The Dark Wedding. Let's see, The Undertaker kidnaps Stephanie McMahon, ties her to a giant uppercase T, and forces her to marry him on the April 26th, 1999 episode of Monday Night Raw. Wow, that sounds all kinds of dumb, and truly, it started out that way. For a bit of a backstory, The Undertaker had started his own cult called the Ministry of Darkness, and for funsies, he used to strap his opponents onto a giant cross. Symbol. It was a symbol. The announcers always made sure to call it a symbol, not a cross. Anyhow, The Undertaker had kidnapped the billion-dollar princess long before she'd become a staple of WWE programming and was going to marry her for the vague reasons that were never clearly fleshed out. We learned later that it was all because it was a ruse to get Steve Austin to trust Vince McMahon when Vince became the higher power. It was awful. The ceremony itself wasn't much to write home about. Ken Shamrock tried to interfere but was squished by Viscera. The Big Show tried his best but got a baseball bat upside the head for his troubles from The Undertaker. Oh, and I always loved that the chosen weapon of the undead wizard on the evening of his unholy wedding was a baseball bat. Very on brand. Then it gets good. Stone Cold makes his way to the ring, cleans house, delivers some stunners, hits some unprotected chair shots to the head. It was a different time, and eventually rescues Stephanie McMahon. But what sets this apart from the dozens of times Steve Austin had raised Hades is when he unties Stephanie, she naturally hugs the man who saved her from a life of unholy matrimony. And Austin is legitimately freaked out. Look at it. The man who has been telling everyone to not trust anyone for years is being hugged by his worst enemy's daughter, a true innocent, and he has no idea how to react. And when he and Vince share a nod of appreciation, it opens the door for a wide variety of storyline possibilities, which were all flushed away when it was revealed that Vince was the higher power. But that moment and that hug, that was awesome. Number 3, the New Age Outlaws. Alright, an out-of-shape country singer and a fake country singer team up to become one of the most decorated and popular tag teams of all time. That's ridiculous. If you weren't around for the real Double J and Rockabilly, take it from your pal, Senior Siete here. These gimmicks were dogs. Neither of these guys was going anywhere or doing anything. The artist currently known as Road Dogg got his start as a literal roadie for Jeff Jarrett back when Jeff Jarrett was a wannabe country star. That was his gimmick, just like a guy that sets up microphones. And they were building to a feud between the duo when it was going to be revealed that Road Dogg had actually performed the vocals on Jeff Jarrett's hit With My Baby Tonight. But Jarrett and Road Dogg ended up leaving the company before it happened. Years later, as a way to get a dig at WCW, where Jarrett was currently wrestling, the WWE brought Road Dogg back and said, "Jarrett's a fake, Road Dogg was singing all along." And in the rare instance of WCW doing something correctly, they responded by saying, "Who cares?" Touche. Good point. Who cares who sung that song? So Road Dogg was stuck in a gimmick where he'd come out and sing Jeff Jarrett's old song from years prior. Needless to say, this did not set the world on fire, but it was still worlds better than poor Rockabilly. Billy Gunn was one half of a fake brother tag team known as the Smokin' Guns, and it was generally accepted that he'd be the Shawn Michaels of that squad and go on to singles glory. However, they could never find a gimmick that worked for him, so eventually he kind of became the honky-tonk man's weird dancing protege known as Rockabilly, and while Billy did fare a little bit better than his tag team partner, it was clear this gimmick was doing him no favors. With nothing better going on, the duo started teaming up, ditched the gimmicks, and started being hilarious a-holes. And it worked! Instead of shoehorning them into one-note personalities, they let them loose and the results were awesome. Number 4, We LC. Oh boy, let's take a little person who's a pretend leprechaun and a little person who's a pretend bull and let them square off in one of the most dangerous matches ever devised. It was on the pre-show of the Extreme Rules 2014 pay-per-view where Hornswoggle would square off against El Torito in what was dubbed a We LC match. And nobody knew quite what to expect from this takeoff on the popular TLC stipulation. Generally, TLC matches were wild stunt shows with the participants getting creative with tables, ladders, and chairs. But Hornswoggle and El Torito had mainly been used for comic relief up to this point. Well, the WWE leaned in big time and the results were shockingly amazing. And it had the potential to be awful, with the WWE bringing in little person versions of the announced crew, meet Micro Cole, Jerry the Mini King Lawler, and Wee BL. Even Lillian Garcia had a replacement that evening. El Torito was led to the ring by Los Matadores, and Hornswoggle was led to the ring by 2 future world champions. And what followed was wildly entertaining. Even putting aside the potentially insulting tiny chairs, tiny ladders, tiny tables, it was clear that everyone involved was giving it their all. I mean, look at this. This was head and shoulders, no pun intended, above what these teams have been doing up until this point, and it's on the pre-show. When it was all said and done, everyone was treated to well-deserved "This is awesome" chant, because that's what it was. Awesome. Number 5, JBL versus Godzilla. Okie dokie. JBL brings a tranquilizer gun to SmackDown so he can knock out the Big Show, but his assistant Amy Weber accidentally shoots him with the dart. A woozy JBL then gets into an argument with an inflatable Godzilla. You know, the more we do these, the more some of these feel like they were written by a really bad AI. All of this took place during an episode of SmackDown that took place February 10th, 2005 in Japan, and it was just as described, a drugged JBL wandering around the backstage area accusing Carlito of having hair like a chia pet and eventually picking a fight with an inflatable Godzilla. JBL would drag the Godzilla to the ring, interrupting Tori Wilson's celebration after she won a kimono match. Wait, that can't be a kimono match in Japan? Oh, come on, guys. The drugged JBL would then proceed to berate the King of Monsters, comparing him to the Big Show, and would eventually challenge the inflatable to a fight. It was definitely original, and when the Big Show came out, he probably received one of the biggest reactions of his entire career, but it was all a ruse set up by JBL to lull the Big Show into a false sense of security so he could hit him with a clothesline from hell. It was weird, it was fun, but it was definitely unique. This whole fiasco might have been the highlight of JBL's almost year-long world title reign. Number 6, musical chairs. Yikes, alright. Eric Bischoff's nephew, Eugene, who is on the spectrum, is put in charge of Raw and forces wrestlers into a game of musical chairs, the winner of which will receive an Intercontinental Championship match. The idea? Kinda dumb. The setup makes sense, as Eugene would come up with a concept like this, but the execution? It is brilliant. Every character is there for a reason. Every elimination makes sense in the universe and adds to their character, and above all, it's very entertaining. I'll break it down quickly. Our competitors are Stacy Keibler, Jerry Lawler, Ric Flair, Tajiri, Jonathan Coachman, Tyson Tomko, and Chris Jericho. The music starts and the fun-loving Stacy Keibler can't wait to play. Jerry Lawler, the epitome of creepy uncle energy, can't wait to follow her. Everyone looks annoyed that they have to participate in this until the music stops and they realize they might miss out on a title shot and they all dive for a chair. Coachman laughs when Tajiri's eliminated and gets a face full of mist for his trouble. As the music starts up again, Coachman stumbles about, blinded, until he's hilariously eliminated. From there, Lawler's eliminated when he sits on Stacy's lap, very on brand. Stacy is eliminated when Ric Flair cheats to steal her chair, very on brand. And then Flair's eliminated when he's more interested in strutting than in walking, again, very on brand. From there, we get an actual stare down between Jericho and Tomko, and the crowd is loving it during a musical chairs competition. Jericho would eventually outsmart Tomko and claim the prize. Everyone who watched it was entertained, and everyone who participated added to their characters. Number 7, Mark Henry's retirement. On paper, it sounds pretty bland. Mark Henry comes out after a John Cena segment to announce his retirement, then attacks Cena in order to get a title match. Not sure how to feel about this. You gotta be real careful about making your good guys too nice or too trusting. Looking at you, Sting. If they're tricked too many times, they just look like idiots. So when Mark Henry came out in his legendary salmon-colored jacket and left his boots on the stage, a lot of people were pretty sure this was all a setup. Just another fake-out to push a pay-per-view main event. And then Mark went and knocked his faux retirement speech out of the park. I'm not too proud to admit that there wasn't a dry eye in the Siete household that evening. When it was all said and done, Henry had the capacity crowd eating out of the palm of his hand, punctuating it perfectly by telling his little girl who cries whenever he leaves that Daddy was finally coming home. As Cena congratulated him on a wonderful career, the world's strongest man shocked the world by hitting the Doctor of Thugonomics with his finisher. It was amazing, and we all fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. Well done, Mr. Henry. Well, there's our list. Did we forget any segments that should have been awful but ended up being awesome? If so, leave them in the comments section below. Also, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and kick that notification bell. Until next time, I'm Senor Siete for 7 Wrestling saying bye-bye.